See, we are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with you two.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get 50 after Monday Night Raw?
Welcome to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, a show where a rotating cast of wrestling fans from around the world come and share and debate their opinions, with live comments from all of you shown throughout, as after all, fans are what makes wrestling so special. So sit back, grab a beverage and enjoy the show. Good evening from Swansea, South Wales, wrestling fans. Sorry we were a bit late. We've had a lot of technical difficulties. Honestly, I think for once in our lifetime, Clark was the only person who didn't have a technical difficulty. It's absolutely mind-blowing, but we do need to talk about last night's AEW Dynamite. And how are you today, Clark?
I'm doing well myself. It's been a funky day all around. Don't get me wrong. I am proud to say that it was not my fault this time. That's awesome. I had my stuff plugged in, ready to rock and roll from the get-go, but I'm excited to be here as always. Happy Thursday. We're going to break down some Dynamite, and also it's technically difficult to do a daily show, but if I know one thing about WR, we don't miss any days except Christmas, so we're back once again. Of course, we weren't going to keep you waiting too long.
Do you guys really think that technical difficulties would stop us? They never would, and they will certainly never stop AEW as well, who had a great show last night. But they've also experienced some tech issues along their years as well, right? It's not just us. We've got DCX Warlord in the chat. K the Great 1993, welcome to the show. And we've also got Fernando saying it's time to light the fuse and ignite this Dynamite review. No doubt about it. Also joining us today, it is a Thursday. So do you know who we need? We need All Elite Mary. How are you, Mary?
I feel like I'm Marina Shafir today. I am the problem. I am the problem, and I'm completely okay with that. My technical difficulties have subsided. Let's lock in. I'm ready.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm also at fault here. I joined and my mic just wasn't even working. I had to re-download the software for it. Honestly, Clark, are there any moons crossing over? Any conspiracy theory about that this week?
I don't know what the deal is, but I'm not going to lie. I went down to go hang out with my old golf coach this morning, and he had a flat tire. I had all kinds of stuff on the way back, traffic and whatnot, and then managed to get here on time, but pretty much nothing has gone right thus far. But I if I'm betting, which not a huge gambler, but a bit of a gambler, I'm gonna guess that we give a heck of a show today.
We absolutely will. Just like Samoa Joe gave a heck of a promo to open last night's AEW Dynamite. He came out and so did Eddie Kingston. And I expected a CM Punk MJF type promo battle, but that's not quite what we actually got. This was more just Samoa Joe explaining why Hook betrayed Eddie Kingston. Meanwhile, Eddie was almost in shock and he gave a few words, but Eddie's kind of mentality was more so, I'll see you next week. But Samoa Joe explained that Hook decided to join him, Hook decided to tag team with Eddie Kingston because Samoa Joe demanded him to. And the reason for that was because that he wanted Hook to understand someone who claims they're the best in Eddie Kingston, but actually has never won anything. He wanted Hook to understand the losing mentality after being around the winning mentality for his entire life. And I've got to say, I love this promo. This was absolutely excellent by Samoa Joe. I don't think in my life I've ever seen Eddie Kingston be out-promoed, but we saw it and then some last night, Clark.
You know, I actually think, number one, I agree. Joe could not agree more. Joe killed it in this promo. Like, Joe is going to kill you. I mean, it was spot on, and it was so conniving. Like, hey, I literally sent Hook out to scout what it looks like to be you so he doesn't end up like that. In more eloquent words, it was one of the best Samoa Joe promos I've seen in a long time, if ever. Here's the one thing I will say, though. it's a testament to how good of a pro wrestler and a promo that Eddie Kingston actually is, that he didn't acquiesce and go crazy on his own side. He allowed Joe to get that promo over. He said his piece. He said what needed to be said, but he didn't look super silly. Joe just won that exchange. I'm sure Eddie has more to say and that there will be another response in the near future. And Eddie's still one of, if not the best promos in all of the business. I enjoyed this back and forth immensely, but I got to give credit to Eddie Kingston for letting it sit the way it should and not sort of, for lack of a better way to put it, making the promo more about himself.
That is a very interesting perspective, and you are right. The focus was really on Hook and about Hook, and hopefully this Samoa Joe title reign will elevate Hook. Because I mean, let's be honest. I said it when Joe won the title. He's great. We all know how good Samoa Joe is. He's an all-time. He's a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer. But it just felt weird when Hangman was at the top of his game to take the title off him. So if this does result in Hook becoming a main event star, then I'm going to be honest, I would be all for this. Clark, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that's going to happen. I know you're a Hookamaniac here. Yes. It feels to me like Hook is years and years and years away from being a main eventer. I think he's better as a heel now. I'm enjoying this. I'm glad they've done it. But something's still missing. It's almost like an Austin Theory situation.
I would actually love, Hook has worked with a lot of veterans thus far, and that was highlighted in this promo. I would love to see Hook actually work with some of the younger talent in the near future in order to elevate. I hope this elevates him slightly. I don't know about all the way to main event, right? That seems like a big leap to your point. I agree with that. Yeah. As much as I'd like to see it, as much as I'm the biggest Hookamaniac, but I'd like to see him work with like a Kyle Fletcher rivalry back and forth with Hook. Something like
that would be great. Yeah.
Would be unbelievable. Obviously now they're both heels. So it's like, okay, we'll see maybe down the road. That's just the first name that came to mind, but I would like to actually see him work with somebody. I don't want to say pick on someone your own age, right? But pick on somebody your own age, for lack of a better way to put it, and really test where he's at now before he makes that next major step towards the main event scene. Because he can't always be brought along by being on the other side of the veteran. At some point, we got to see where he's at in relation to his own like draft class. You know what I mean? If it was like American sports.
No, I absolutely do get what you're saying there. And to your point about him not working with younger stars, I've only just realized this when you said that, Clark. But I don't think he's ever really worked with like any top wrestlers in terms of in-ring at that prime. He's never worked with what, is the bread and butter of All Elite Wrestling, the Kenny Omegas, the Will Ospreys, any of those. He's never actually had the opportunity almost to have one of those real bangers. He's had some solid matches, but not like any, match of the nights.
Even when it's happened, they've either been in tag team matches or multi-person matches, and they're small exchanges, right? We've seen him deliver the red rum on big names in various spots, but never really to those type of wrestlers, never really in a one-on-one singles feud with somebody like that. He's always been the young guy against the veteran, right? And I'd just love to see, Kyle Fletcher was the first one that I thought of, but I mean, even if you went Jungle Boy, even if you went something like just someone around his age range, I just would be interested to see where he's at, working with closer to like an equal, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely doesn't. Donnie says it took more than a year of action in AEW before we saw Hook take any heat. As a result, his selling is behind where it should be, and hopefully it does continue to get better. Zach saying it's National Cookie Day, everybody. Kay the Great saying it's an excellent promo. WWE AEW fan is saying Joe destroyed Eddie on the mic, and DCX Warlord correctly pointing out that Eddie Kingston was the inaugural Continental Champion. So actually, Samoa Joe's promo, it was factually incorrect. But Mary, I want to get your thoughts on it.
I enjoyed the promo just overall between the two. You have two of the best mic talkers in the business, in my opinion. With Joe being the hothead heel that he is, the true bad SOB that we all know. Like I say every Dynamite, Samoa Joe. That is all. But with this feud in mind, I feel like this would elevate Hook in the process to show where his where his true alliance stands. If he's going to truly lock in as the next youth heel in AEW, or is he going to do like similarity to what the Young Bucks did? Have this heelish mesh of time where he's just with the ops going in, doing their thing. But then we all thought they're going to just stay as the true bad guys. No, they all pulled the shock wool right over our eyes and thought, well, I'm going to go beat Elite. And I think with this match, I'm going to personally enjoy it just like I said, it's two greats going at it within probably long overdue. I feel like this match was so long overdue. And with that in mind, I hope winter is coming. We do see Samoa Joe retaining, but in a really good fashion, not in a squash, not in a interference. I want to see Kingston put Joe over as the true badass that he is.
I could not agree. And I mean, the one complaint I do have about this, if I'm being honest, guys, because like I said, I'm being really positive about this promo, but the only one negative I do have is, to me, it feels like this should be the pay-per-view match. And yet we're kind of already going over that back to Hangman Page again. I kind of wish Eddie Kingston got a pay-per-view main event out of this, because the story's there. He deserves it. He's shown in AEW that he can hang at that main event level. Yes, he's not done it in a couple of years, but this to me feels like a program which shouldn't be overlooked and deserves longer than essentially a 1 week build clock.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, I'm excited about the match. There's no question. Like that is put it on a poster main event for sure. It in my eyes, it did deserve a pay-per-view, especially given what Eddie Kingston overcame injuries wise. Not only did this guy go as long as he did in his wrestling career, basically without ever getting any injury medically treated. He had a major injury on top of that, and he's come back in better shape than he was ever before. He's finally earned the right to have the time to recover, and that is such a beautiful story to be told. I would have much preferred a more than 1 week build. And to that point, Ben, and it pains me to say this because I love all three that are involved in this when it comes to Hangman, Eddie Kingston, and Samoa Joe. But it would have explained why he would take the title off Hangman so early if it was about Eddie finally being able to climb the mountain and working with someone like Joe, who, as he mentioned last night, one of the key lines that sort of flew under the radar, used to bully his mentor.
That is very, very true indeed. I'm looking forward to this match. I really, really am. Mary, do you think there's any possibility that we do see a title change?
In my heart, I would die a happy girl if Samoa Joe put over Eddie Kingston, but I don't see that happening.
Agreed. There's no way, unfortunately, and I really, really wish it would happen, but it's just not going to, and that sucks, but it's the truth. But we got DCX Warlord in the chat saying that he would love Okada versus Hook for the International Championship. I would be all over that. Also saying that Kingston is the greatest trash talker, and Adrian Padilla is saying that Samoa Joe truly is the GOAT. Big, big praise there, and honestly, you have to make the argument. WWE AEW fan says Continental Championship means nothing. I mean, I disagree with that. I think, well, to be fair, actually, I don't know if I can disagree with that because they are merging the titles all together constantly, aren't they? At this point, I can't even keep track, even with that stupid explanation which Don Callis did last night on Dynamite. But guys, up next, at the pay-per-view, we saw the Elite get back together once again. Last week, we saw them have a little bit of a chat, a brief chat backstage, where Omega said he was going to give them another chance. Well, last night, it was clear they're standing back side by side. They are friends once again, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I do have an issue with this. I have an issue that Kenny Omega so easily got over what they did to him. Are we really forgetting that he was out of action for nearly a year, partly because they made his illness a lot worse? Are we forgetting that? Why did it take 1 week to just overlook it? I can't get my head around it, Clark, at all.
I disagree. I think it's just too sweet to have the Elite back. I'm fired up. It's time. I'm ready for it. I hear where you're coming from, Ben. I get a little bit of the complaints when it comes to, they weren't so nice to Kenny and they haven't been so nice to anybody, but it will always be the Elite. And I want Prime being the Elite back. Worse than life. Give us the Wednesday night show, the Saturday night show, and the YouTube show. Bring it back. I love it. I mean, not that it's been gone, but just make it what it's always been and always should be. I like the Elite as faces here in this situation in AEW. I think it makes a ton of sense. Everything except for, as you mentioned, diverticulitis made worse by the Young Bucks. That needs to be explained. Kenny's saying he's going to give him one more chance. He's always probably, at least if you exclude his New Japan type history, in AEW, he's been arguably the most loyal Elite member. Yes, there's a few blips on the radar, but everybody's sort of been in and out of that group over time. Kenny generally is in the most iterations, I would say, since the onset of AEW as a company. So he's kind of the key. I like that Hangman's not involved in this part of it right now. We'll save that for later if we're going to use it for anything. But let's not forget that he is the fourth member of the Elite at the end of the day. Yeah, for me, I'm excited that they're back. But Ben, I can't lie to you. I hear where you're coming from on some of those complaints.
I don't want to see Hangman Page back in the Elite until 2029, until the 10-year anniversary of AEW. I want them to wait that long and then do the reunion.
I would love, actually, I wouldn't mind if the Elite get in like a pretty unbelievable feud in the next couple years. I think 10 years is too long. In the next couple years, if they get in a pretty wild
10 years from now, it is only 4 years from now, 3 years even, really.
Even then, I would love to see Hangman ride in on a horse to save the Elite one more time. That's one of my favorite moments in AEW history. And just like, will he show up, will he not? And then he cruises in on a horse. If they hit Ghost Town Triumph and he just on a giant stallion rides in down the ramp, I'll be 12-year-old Clark, go crazy.
But to me, and this is a hot take as well, I almost feel like he's now bigger than the Elite. And I know how big the Elite is, but to me,
I would agree.
It feels like, let's say if Tribal Chief Roman Reigns suddenly went back as part of the Shield and just went back into that, Mary's wearing the shirt, that would feel like beneath him. And that's kind of what this would feel like to me. I think we wait it out and have them do it when the time's right. And I don't think the time is right yet. I don't think there's enough time passed for Hangman to even forgive the Elite for everything that went down.
I still do think, though, I think the horse is the key here in this situation. If you have him ride in like John Wayne to save the day, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the horse did pass away.
Just such a good moment. You can get a new horse.
You mean he said that was his only horse?
There are other horses.
Oh,
I'll let you in on a little secret. There are new horses.
You can't get a new horse.
You have to. That's what every cowboy goes through. That at every, and he's the anxious millennial version. But even then, every cowboy has to get a new horse at some point in their life. And you haven't watched enough westerns.
If my horse dies on Red Dead Redemption 2, I end the game. I restart it.
You just quit the game.
I restart the game. At that point, I'm like, well, she's going to carry on.
Cutscene in the first 5 minutes. Your horse died.
Yeah.
Ben never made it to the first mission. He's like, what? The horse died? Forget this game.
Restart it.
I was right at the end of the game. Horse died. Back again. Another 200 hours on this thing.
You're kidding me.
Oh, God.
No, I haven't even gotten to move my character yet. The horse is already dead.
It's a vicious loop. But WWE AEW fan says the Elite getting back together is exactly what was needed. D6 Warlord says Kenny and Christian are too forgiving. I mean, I agree with Christian Cage. I cannot believe he forgave that sociopath Adam Copeland. I agree with that, DCX. And Kay the Great says that he agrees with Clark. And also, DCX wants to see Cowboy Page versus Cowboy Orton. How would actually be? Hangman Page versus Randy Orton would be.
I thought he meant Bob Orton.
Well, he
Yeah,
does,
that's
he
why I
does.
was like, stop
But
it.
no, he does. But I'd actually love to see Hangman versus Randy Orton as his final match. It won't happen, but to me, there's just
That would
something which
be-
I think would click between those two.
That would be such a cool matchup. I actually agree. The chemistry would be off the charts there. Well, also
There's something about it.
there's something about the shock of like Hangman, even like he can set up the buckshot just as Orton can do, like, you know, he's coiling for the RKO, but they can both hit those out of nowhere and like change they could do some really cool stuff with that.
Absolutely. Donnie says that his son got his white Arabian killed in Red Dead Redemption 2 and he nearly went heel.
That's a nightmare.
Back
It's
to
the
the
hardest
start of
horse
the game.
It's like the second. I think it's the hardest horse to get in the game. Yeah, that is brutal.
Crazy.
You should restart the game in my eyes. At that
Oh,
point,
man.
your horse
Start
is dead.
over, Donnie.
Restart.
Just start over.
I think I'm
Back
the
to
only
the
one
start.
that played through that game and just went, I don't care about the morality. I'm just gonna keep playing and robbing people.
I
went
played
heel the
like a
whole
good
game.
citizen. I completed GTA 5 without killing a single person. But I actually did that on the heist because
Somebody
I was
call
so
it.
bad at the heist. All my mates did the killing for me. I just tagged along, maybe, you know.
I feel like that's
driving,
criminal on
crashing a
its own.
helicopter.
Ben inserted his moral compass into GTA.
Well, there's
He's like,
got to be
these people
some
have
rules.
lives.
Facts.
But Donnie said Pro almost took out 2 chairs and went full concerto. Oh my gosh. Donnie wants to see a Red Dead Republic
I'm
show.
in. I'm in.
I'm in.
We're not gonna get 3 until like 2030, but I'll be here.
Yeah.
We're not going to get episode 2 until my horse stops dying. It's a problem. Anyway, next topic, guys, because there is obviously a women's tag team tournament currently going on in AEW. And last night we saw the second semifinal between Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa going against Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. And I said when Storm and Mina won the 4-way match, it must mean they're not winning the tag team titles. Well, I was wrong because I don't think there's a chance that Willow and Harley are winning the tag team titles, which means I actually now do think Mina and Tony are going to win. But once again, guys, and you know I love AEW, but I had a big issue with this. And the big issue I had with it was Tony and Mina cheated to win. I understand it was a no DQ match, but the heels were doing it on their own. They needed Luther to get involved when Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne were playing by the rules. What sense does this make? They are now heels. None of this makes any sense to me. I now want to boo them. Toni Storm, she is a fraud. She is just like all those people in those Hollywood movies in the 1940s that she cosplays as. She is a fraud who behind the scenes is up to no good. I am furious with it, Mary.
I am honestly not. I love Luther. I love his weird attribute to this whole character with Toni and how she started in the very beginning. And I will say though, I am very just like that much, my acrylic nail, like that much disappointed that Marina and Megan didn't make it to the finals. The moment I saw those two pair, I thought, oh, we got a dominant tag team if they pull the trigger on it right. And I feel like this was a great match, but the wrong winner. I don't know if that's just me, but I think this match was the right match. I feel like it should have main evented, but the wrong winner. I feel like seeing Toni and Mina from the moment they were entering the tournament, I knew they were going to win. in my deepest heart, because it's Tony Storm, you guys. From the woman that dominated the women's division for years. I don't even remember the year anymore because it's been so long. So we wanna keep cheering Tony. We wanna keep loving Tony and this wonderful gimmick of being timeless. But now with her little heelish Luther around, will this kind of create some heelish antics going into the finals between them and the Babes of Wrath? That's what I'm thinking, because with Harley and Willow being the beautiful babyface team, I can't give Harley Cameron enough credit for her work with Minnie Monet, using her other talents to put into wrestling. I loved it. I love her from the get-go, and I want Babes of Wrath to pull off the upset, but I feel like now it is certain we're gonna have Timeless Love Bombs be our inaugural champions.
I do have to agree with you, Mary, unfortunately, because I also agree that Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne, I mean, once the Spooky Girls were eliminated, right? I mean, I can't remember their names anymore because Shard's used that term so much.
Sisters
of Sin. That's the one.
Sisters of Sin.
But once, I mean, I've said this entire time, they need to be winning this. They didn't win it. So once they got eliminated, Bayne and Shafir, they were the obvious choice. And Donnie says the same thing too, saying Bayne and Shafir should have been booked. They should have held the titles for all of next year and been booked like the Road Warriors all of 1986.
That would have been perfect.
Disagree.
1000% with that.
And Eddie Walker says it makes no sense. DCX says Harley is a jack of all trades. That is true, but also where were the Death Riders, and also that it was a valid crash out. Meanwhile, WWE AEW Fan 2004 says, geez, Ben. I mean, it annoys me. It does, because I love AEW, like I always say. But again, I think at times Tony forgets that it's not just hardcore fans who watch the product, because it isn't. There's channel flickers, there's casual fans. We know casual fans who watch the product. And they're not as easily going to, if they watch that match, they'd think Tony and Mina were the heels. They really would, because it was a no DQ match, so they were all using weapons. And yeah, okay, Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir looked like, you know, badasses, for lack of a better word. The truth is, they played by the rules, and Tony and Mina didn't.
Yeah. I 100%
I'm just
agree.
thinking about Blackwater again.
But even though it was a holiday bash, holiday hardcore bash, I feel like Tony was showing her heelish stuff a little bit, like where she was.
Absolutely. But BJ Dixon says there could be a way for Willow or Harley to beat Mercedes for the TBS title. I've been on the Willow train to dethrone Mercedes from the minute she won that belt. I said Willow needs to be the one to win it back again after dropping it to Mercedes in the first place at the end of the reign to really put Willow over. Because Mercedes Moné is brilliant at putting people over. People say she isn't, she is. Everybody who she beats ends up usually beating her. That's the common theme we have seen. So I do think Willow is going to get that win back, whether it's for the title or not. And Donnie thinks the only reason the titles were created was because TK is a huge mark for Storm. I actually think it's because of the amount of comments that he was getting about asking him to introduce titles, because he really does listen to the IWC, right? You can say all you want about Tony Khan, and you can say whether that's a good or bad thing in itself. The fact he listens, he does listen, and he does change the product depending on it, because he does care. And I think, honestly, I respect it. I really like it. And I think as competition, that's a smart move to do. But obviously, you can't always listen to the IWC, because at times, Clark complains about tie clips. And if we book depending on tie clips, then yeah, I think we would be in a little bit of a dodgy place in wrestling.
Have a different champion on the WWE side, I'll tell you that much.
But, okay. Up next, guys, let's talk about the Continental Classic, because last night we saw a few really big matches, like we will see every week really in the Continental Classic. We opened the show with Okada versus Pac, and this match was bucket loads of fun. I really liked it. Okada won via a roll-up in the end. I did think that was the right way to end it too, because it protects Pac a little bit, and Okada obviously needed the 3 points. Up next, we then had Kevin Knight versus Kai Kyle Fletcher. And for a second, I believed Kevin Knight was actually going to win this. Another really fun match. That dude is bucket loads of talent, and so does Kyle Fletcher. Really enjoyable, but Kyle Fletcher picked up the 3 points. And then the bread and butter, the newsworthy thing, the title of this video. Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, the two went for over 15 minutes, and Claudio won via an uppercut. But it was what happened after the bell that was really interesting. Because immediately Pat came down, he congratulated Claudio, Mox rolled out, and Marina was comforting him along with Wheeler Yuta. Now you might be wondering, well, they're a faction. That makes sense. Pac hasn't been out after Jon Moxley's recent losses. He stayed in the back when the rest of the Death Riders have come out. He did it at the pay-per-view and he did it last week. But this time Pac did come out. But then when Claudio left the ring to comfort Mox as well, Pac stayed in the ring. Pac did not go over to Mox to check he was okay. He stayed in that ring. Pac is going to be the next leader of the Death Riders. Pac is going to lead a revolt. And Jon Moxley is going to be kicked out very, very soon, probably at the end of this tournament. But we have all been predicting it for quite some time. Mary, I'd love to get your thoughts.
I thought the exact same thing. I mean, to start, I need to give a round of applause for Kevin Knight. I need a little small clap for Mr. Knight. He blew me away with his match against Fletcher. I thought, wow, if I could just see these two fight all night long, I'm okay with it. But to go into Claudio and Jon Moxley, I thought that was very, 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 very interesting. Let alone the match itself. I thought the match, they were doing very good with just giving it their emotion. You didn't really see the full fight, I feel, but you saw the emotion between the two. Like, you see Jon Moxley looking at Claudio like, give me your best shot, make me lose or make me win, give me what you got. I feel like he put over Claudio in just a beautiful fashion. But I do agree, the stuff that happened after the match I felt was very, very, I see you. I see what you're doing, Pac. And we see Marina over there comforting Jon Moxley, but I'm sorry. I see those eyes. Those eyes tell it all. We see a plastic bag in our near future, gentlemen. I just don't know. Like how you said, Ben, is it after the tournament? Is it the next match? Who knows? It's very fascinating to see how the shift between the Death Riders is going. For as slow as what it's cooking, I'm still interested. The stew is not burning yet. It's not burnt. I'm still eating.
I mean, I'm going to be honest here. I said this last week and David hated the idea when I mentioned it. I would have, because keep in mind, going into this tournament, Jon Moxley was on, I think, a 5-match singles losing streak. I'd have had everybody beat him. I'd have had him take loss after loss after loss after loss in this tournament, and then the Death Riders kick him out immediately following the final loss. Just because, yes, it would be clear what's happening, but it is already clear. And I do feel like even if he loses every match, still beating Jon Moxley is an accomplishment in itself. And it's happened so often right now. I don't think there's a difference between 4 losses in a row and 9 losses in a row, to be honest, in AEW. And Donnie says, do you have Claudio win the tournament now? I love Claudio. I do not think so, because it's going to be the Okada, Fletcher, and Takeshita storyline. That's what they've been building for quite some time, because Mox, like I said, Mox has already lost. So the rub's already less than when, Darby Allin beat him, and when, well, specifically when Hangman Page beat him, really. But Clark, I want to get your thoughts on this situation.
So it's really interesting when it comes to the Death Riders. I do think that I'm more intrigued than I was before. Pac, the look changed. I've not been a fan of, but I'm such a fan of his work that I'm accepting enough of it. And as far as the leadership situation is concerned, he is the logical next leader, but I don't think the next chip should fall until Jon Moxley tells his side of the story. And that's something that's been missing. Yes, we are all aware of how many losses he's taken and how many mistakes he's made over recent months. I would actually love to hear from Mox and almost hear a little bit of humility come out to show that vulnerability before the turn happens. And I think that needs to be the point. That is the missing piece of this story, no doubt. John needs to make it very clear, like, I don't understand what's going on. This is never happened to me. And then that's when the turn happens. Because I don't want to only have sympathy for a guy that has done everything in his power for basically a year plus to make me not want to sympathize or empathize with him. So give me a little bit of humility, a little bit of humanity, a little bit of that from Jon Moxley before we actually make this turn. And I think Pac is the perfect candidate to lead the Death Riders into the future. And it could turn out to be a better group than we ever anticipated.
Wow. Well, look, I'm definitely willing to give it a try. I've been very vocal in the past about not wanting the Death Riders to continue, but I'm willing to give it a try. Would you like to see that, Mary?
I would like to see them continue, just for the sake of one thing that happened during that match last night. The crowd was cheering for Moxley. When has that happened, you guys?
Well, not in a couple of years.
So, with that in mind, that alone, I feel like is the little flower, the little sprout that we're getting to see with the split of the Death Riders without Jon Moxley. Not with the group, but just without him. And we could see 2.0. We could see Death Riders 2.0. That's totally fine. I'm not mad at the group. I just need a better sense of direction with the group. And I feel like Pac can actually pull the trigger and put on a really good leadership role. If it's not him or Claudio.
If it wasn't, I would have wanted it a while ago. Maybe not so much now, because I just love what they did with Megan Bayne, other than the result of the last match that we talked about. But I think Marina Shafir should have actually taken over as the leader and done the, like, I learned under Moxley's tutelage everything I needed to know, and then he got soft, and we don't do
I'd love that.
I learned everything I needed to know from Jon Moxley, and then he can't handle it anymore, but I know I can. I'm better.
Yes, please.
And that's
lead
what
the group. That'd be outstanding.
I love that, because
I had to carry that stupid briefcase.
Yeah. I had to be his sidekick.
Yeah.
Hold that belt in that stupid briefcase.
Now I call the shots.
Now I'm the leader now. I'm telling you, it's the eyes.
I want to see it.
It's the eyes.
I want to see it.
I've
been... You guys have convinced me. I want Marina Shafir as the new leader of the Death Riders.
I've said it so many times. If it's not her, it's got to be her, Claudio, or Pac.
And bring in Megan Bayne.
And bring her
Megan Bayne into
if she'll be the full leader. Let Megan
give
come
Marina
in.
the ball and let her run with it.
Absolutely.
And have, because then you also you can have the Death Riders as a heel faction in both divisions. Now you have Muscle in the women's division, you have Muscle in the men's division, and it's a cool group. And then you have Moxley go away for a bit, take a little time off, and then you bring back Wild Thing Jon Moxley, Ultimate Underdog. Boom! You play the song again.
No, don't play the song. Use that money for something else. No, I love the song.
Major League.
I love the song, but it was a colossal waste of money for the amount they were paying for it. It absolutely was.
It was so fun.
Right? But we got a bucket load of comments here. You guys are on fire today. Donnie says, you guys think that Marina can talk well enough to hold that role? She can be a little bit of the strong and silent type when it comes to a leader role. Yeah. She doesn't need to talk that much. Pat can maybe do a lot of the talking for her.
Claudio is a better talker than people realize. You can sort of distribute that around the group, but make it obvious that Marina's calling the shots. Is, I think, the key to that operation there. Marina watched Jon Moxley from close. I mean, it is interesting coming off of last night's promo with Joe and Kingston. I don't want it to be the exact same thing that they're saying with Hook, because it's not like that. But if it's sort of an internal uprising, the idea of Marina being the one to be like, no, I can run this organization better.
In the words of Tony Soprano, what happened to the strong and silent type? That's what Marina Shafir could be. We got a few more comments I want to quickly read out here. DCX says the Death Riders will be renamed the Black Arrows. Donnie says they're at tipping point. You want shock and awe, and they've approached the point where nobody would be shocked by Mox getting kicked out. That is true, to be fair. That is true. Kay the Great says that he'd love for Cesaro to win the tournament, but it won't happen. WWE AEW fan says they'll cost Moxley in the final. And BJ Dixon says Kevin Knight has a bright future. I think he'll make a great TNT champion at some point. And Eddie Walker says, does anybody else not get the hype around Pac?
Oh, the new look doesn't help. The new look doesn't help.
Yeah.
the old look was more menacing.
I mean,
now he looks like Mini Bane.
I like it, especially I don't like it if he's going to be the leader. Now that you've said Marina Shafir being the leader and him being kind of the enforcer, not even the enforcer, that's wrong, but him being the guy kind of second in lead, he gets given the orders and he fills them out. I actually like this look for him. It's a lot more unique and I think a lot more marketable, to be honest. What do you think, Mary?
I agree. I would rather have him be kind of like the right-hand man, have him next to Marina. And if she doesn't want to talk, she'll slam the microphone next to him and say, here you go. You talk to him now. You let him know what's going on. I don't need to talk. I'm the problem. I don't need to say anything.
I think for me on the change of the look too, it's the hair more than it is the new gear.
Yeah.
Oh, no. If you had the
off.
long hair with this gear, it would look worse.
I don't know
I'm
though.
sorry.
The look with it down in his face. No, I'm not talking the Neville hair. I'm talking when he had it like in his face, the menacing look that he had. I think that would look pretty cool with the new gear. He'd look more dangerous than he does now. He's got a little bit of the AJ Styles soccer mommy thing going. Like it, I think they call it a bob.
I think it works for his character.
I believe Wheeler Yuta kind of adopted that hair though. No, the
Mary,
hair.
You would know more about hairstyles than me. Don't they call that a bob?
It's like a bob, like a curly, wavy bob. Not really like nothing too crazy.
Guys, on today's episode of Wrestling Republic, we've talked about hairstyles, Red Dead Redemption, and a little bit of wrestling. Reminds me of one of those old Wednesday shows we used to do with Archie Clark, where we just talk about football for the entire thing and then be like, oh shoot, this is a wrestling podcast. But that does bring us to the end of today's show. Thank you to everybody for watching. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below because those help us out massively. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.